Testing, testing. Is this thing on? Hi guys, my name is Abby and this is the Just Flip It podcast. So this episode is going to focus all about work politics, striving for something more, and mindset. Let's get started. So thank you for joining me, sticking around. I know that there are some people that probably would not have tuned into this episode. Maybe they had heard the intro and were like, I'm not really interested. So yeah, thank you for that. You're good. Okay, as I mentioned in the intro, I've been in the property and construction business for 13 years now. Gosh, 13. Oh my gosh. Where has the time gone? Well, 13 years, and I've loved every minute of it, whether it's the highs and the lows or ups and downs. You know, it's made me the person who I am today, so it's experience that I can't take away. But I'll just give you a bit of history, my history. So I graduated in '09 in a recession, and I think many of my peers did as well. So during that recession, it was hard to find work, hard to get work. And then what I did was I just did work experience placements for 2 years. And eventually in 2011, I was successful enough to secure a graduate scheme placement, which I was so thrilled about because I'm like, finally, like my work life can actually get started. So yeah, no, it was really, really good. But I think as time wore on, from about maybe 2014 up until last year, I was feeling a bit jaded, a bit tired of it all, really. Not only just the work, but also the politics involved, like the nonsense that you witness every day. I'm not really here for it, if I'm being honest. I mean, speaking about it now, there's actually a, an instance or an incident which happened, which has come to my mind and is very, very fresh. And it knocked me for six and it just made me feel like, wow, this actually does happen, because up until then, I'd probably never really experienced it. I mean, there are microaggressions every now and then, but blatant discrimination or whatever they want to call it, I called it discrimination. I do I want to share it? Yeah, okay, let's go for it. But I'm going to omit the company, I'm going to omit the name. So if anyone hears this, I'm not going to get some troll in my comments, in my DMs, you're getting blocked. I'm not here for that bullshit, sorry. Okay, here goes the story. So one day I was in the office in my last place of employment, and a director came up to me. And he asked me if I could sit in on an interview that he was doing for a candidate that they were looking to employ. So I thought, yeah, that's a really good opportunity. I mean, prior to that, I'd been speaking to my line manager about how I get promoted to a more senior management level. So I thought, all this experience, it will hold me in good stead going forward. So yeah, let's go for it. Let's do it. So I was handed the CV 15 minutes before the actual interview itself, which is not enough time to prepare. But I was like, I will take the lead from the director. And if there are any questions that I have, or as the interview is going on, if there's anything I can think about, I will throw it at the candidate. So what I did notice was that the guy, he was at the same level in his company, if not below the level that I was at. But so I wouldn't know, and I didn't know at that time where they were going to peg him. But I could see that he had considerably less experience than me. So yeah, I was like, okay, that's good. Let's go for it. Let's do it. So the interview is going well. He's answering the questions. There's good chat. There's good rapport, and then comes the point where the director starts asking about pay. So at this point, yeah, you sit up straight. Well, I did anyway. So I was like, this is going to get interesting. This is going to get juicy. So how much is this guy actually earning? And how much could he potentially earn if he was to join the company? So when he was asked a question about what he was currently on, he said that he was on a certain amount, which, when I worked it out in my mind, equated to £5,000 more than I was at, and he was less experienced and probably at a lower grade. And as soon as I heard that, my heart sank. I was like, throughout all the months and weeks of conversations I've been having with my manager to try and get promoted, go to see people from other or similar backgrounds and industries, probably earning, not probably, are earning more than I am. So I was like, okay, after this interview, I'm definitely going to have a conversation with my manager, and I don't care. It is what it is. So I was also thinking at the time, obviously it wasn't a slow thinking process. It was like my mind was racing. I thought to myself, if they were to employ him and he was making more money than I am now, he would be in a more senior position than me with less experience, not to the same standard as I am in terms of qualifications. So after the interview, I gave my feedback and I heard nothing. Now, you know how this story's going to go, don't you? So 2 weeks later, I was back in the office, sitting on the same floor, and guess who I saw walk past me? The guy that I interviewed 2 weeks prior with the director, and he was being introduced to the different colleagues. My head was hot. You don't understand the levels here. My head was hot. I was like, I'm busting my ass working for this company, trying to show that I'm a diligent project manager. And there you go, employ someone who has less experience than me, and you give him, I'm certain, at least 10 grand more than me. As soon as I saw this, I wrote an email to my boss, and then I put a meeting in his diary so that we can discuss how I could be promoted to the next level. So during the meeting, I spoke about what happened, and my boss went away and said he will speak to the director that I had the interview with. The following day, he came back to me, and guess what he said? Well, there's nothing really we can do. It might not, the reason why he got what he got might not be because of his experience. There's more to people than just their experience. Bullshit. Bullshit. Don't give me that nonsense. Do I look like I was born yesterday? I knew that from then on. It was like a wake up call, a light bulb moment. And I knew from then on I would never have allegiance to any company that I didn't help create. I need to start doing stuff for me going forward. And that was the only way that I could be a success in my life. I was the one that held the key to my success and determined how successful I was going to be. So I say all this to say, please do not have any allegiance to any company. Your director could wake up one morning and just say, I didn't like the way that worker spoke to me, so I'm going to make their life a living hell. I'm going to fabricate some lies, create a disciplinary, and have him fired. You need to stand up for yourself and do what's right for you. Right now is the time to start changing your mindset. Please believe me when I say this. Right now, you need to start thinking about yourself and how you can be the best version of yourself. So yeah, ran over. This next part is going to focus on mindset. So I recommend that you guys read, buy, download, borrow, barter is Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, Mastering the Inner Game of Wealth by T. Harv Eker. Sound very American, don't I? T. Harv Eker. So this book has a lot of gems in it, a lot. I mean, whenever I listen to an audiobook or whenever I read a book, I'm always making notes on my iPhone, like always referring back to it. I have deep conversations with a lot of people, and then my mind instantly goes back to suggestions, tips, tricks, even things that I've read. And then I relay this back to the person I'm having the conversation with, and then we start a new dialogue. And I feel like this is one of the books that does it for you. I mean, when you're part of this community, this property community, they always refer to this book with good reason. I mean, there are some people that have an opinion about it, but me on the whole, I really like what he said. And I think there are certain terms that he uses in the book that might trigger people. For instance, he's very blunt and says rich people and poor people. Not necessarily poor as in wealth, but maybe poor as in mindset or how they have been conditioned and grown up. But he's very blunt about the two, and he uses these extremes purposefully. I didn't take it to heart, but I know some people may. But if you look past that, I think you will understand the underlying message that he's trying to give the reader. I mean, the ones that really stuck out for me are: one, rich people believe I create my life, whereas poor people believe life happens. 8, rich people are willing to promote themselves and their value, and poor people think negatively about self promotion. And actually, before I go into the other one that stuck out for me, this one is really, really important for me. Well, me personally, especially where I am in my life, because starting up this business, understanding how business works, branding, promotion, it was a steep learning curve for me. And I struggle with that sometimes. I think you're bragging. Why do you need to say what you have or what you're doing all the time? But you only know what you know. And if people don't know about you and what you do, how can they use your service? How can they speak about you to others who may need your service? How many times have you had to promote yourself to your boss, in the workplace, or even to a prospective partner? Self promotion is everything. And the last one that stuck out for me was rich people constantly learn and grow, whereas poor people think they already know. How many times have you had conversations with people when they're like, yeah, I already know, I already know, I already know. Yeah, no, you don't know. Stop it. You do not know. You are not fountain of all knowledge. You do not know. You're not the Dalai Lama. You do not know. So, in that sense, be the type of person that's always willing to grow by asking 5 whys. There's someone that I know that whenever I have a conversation with him, he's always asking why. Why do you do it like this? Why do you think like that? There was one time I was having a conversation with him and he kept asking why so many times. I said, stop. I said, because why has a long tail, that stupid childish thing that you used to say when you were young. But it got me thinking, it was like, why is it that I do certain things? How comes I haven't challenged the way that I do things, or the way that other people do things, or the way that I was taught things? And it forced me to really open myself, open my mind. So I implore all my listeners to ask 5 whys. If you can't get to the 5th why, it's probably bullshit what you were thinking to begin with. So just be open to trying new things and challenging this standard or the narrative that you've once had. You know what? Sorry, I shouldn't have used that word narrative. I really hate that word narrative. Wasn't it like last year when that word was everywhere? Going forward, I won't use that word. You won't hear. Well, never say never, but I'll try not to. It's so annoying. So, yeah, so thank you for listening. And yeah, we made it through the first episode. You heard a rant and you heard a book recommendation. I know we haven't got to the property and construction, but we're getting there. I will leave the link to the book I recommended, which is Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, in the show notes so you can look to buy it or borrow it or barter. I don't know, whatever you need to do, but just get your hands on the book. Bye.